we have 10 now. Bob, we've gotten up to like 21 people sometimes, you know.
Great.
It comes and goes, goes. We'll wait a little longer.
Compy.
I'm reading a book about the Spanish flu. And I just wondered if anybody ever had anyone in their family ever talk to them about it.
No.
Because
I read about it, but that happened so many years ago. That was like what? I mean,
1918.
1918.
Yeah.
And the First World War was ending. And that's one of the reasons I think it wasn't brought out as much as it could have been, because 50 to 100 million people died in this.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and it changed the whole world. And I'm reading a book now called The Pale Rider. And I just wondered if anybody in your family ever mentioned it or ever told you about it, if they'd ever gone through it. Or
my dad would have been 8 years old then.
Yeah.
Yeah, my father would have been 13.
Lived out in the country, so
Yeah.
they wouldn't have been exposed to it.
I want to introduce y'all to Bob, whose name is Compy001. I sent him a link because I thought he would be interested in this talk.
What's Bob's last name?
Bob, can we rename?
Child, Child.
Well, welcome,
Oh,
Bob.
Bob.
Glad to have you with
Yeah.
us.
Thank you.
Bob.
And here's Sylvia.
Welcome.
Hi, Sylvia.
And then
Think she just got
Darren, what's your
connected.
last name?
He's muted. Darren's muted.
Okay.
Darren, can you unmute yourself and tell us your last name or put it in the chat?
He may not really actually be there yet.
Yeah, he's there, but he's not there.
Well,
Like a lot of us.
You're
Paul?
welcome either way, Darren.
Paul, how do you get your picture on? There's one Zoom meeting that my picture never shows, and I just wondered what I need to do.
Um,
We're showing now.
no,
I know, but
are you talking about your static picture or
the one up
actual-
here. I just wondered if there's anything I need to do on another Zoom meeting to make my picture show.
You just have to turn your video on.
Well, it's on now, but
Yeah, it's on now. It may not be, that meeting may be set so that the audio is turned off by default when you join. Yeah, the video's turned off by default.
okay, all right.
Hi, Jane. Jane's on with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Bob, tell us a little about you. How are you? Are you a friend of Tom's? We have a lot of Bobs now, 2 Bobs.
Yeah.
We're
We've
just
been
bobbing
friends.
right along.
Oh,
We've been
Bob
friends
knows
for
a
a
lot
good
of
while.
Aha. Very good. Well, I'm glad you joined us. Okay, so we have 12, so we might as well get going.
Okay. if
Welcome,
I can
everybody.
find
We're going to start with a song.
Wait a minute. I've got to find my
And if you want to sing along, please mute yourself because it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
Sound system doesn't support it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Reverend Robin's coming on.
Oh, cool. Yay.
Yay.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, Robin. Robin.
How are you guys?
Glad
How are you?
joining us.
Good to see you.
Yes, it is. Reverend Robin's going to be speaking to us shortly, very shortly.
in a week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, Bob, Michelle, this is Reverend Robin. She's a Science of Mind minister from Richmond.
Yes, I am. Nice to see y'all.
Nice
Yeah.
to see you too.
Yes. Okay, we're going to start our song.
Okay, I'm going to mute everybody because it sounds like the Hogwarts school song when we try to
Yeah.
sing with Zoom.
Yeah.
Mute all and new participants, including us.
The doors of spirit wide, we are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. moments in our fellowship. This is a place we all belong. We place our trust in this great holiness. This is the moment, come along. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. There is a promise in our thankfulness. We know that when we seek, we find. We place our trust in this great holiness. This sacred space is yours and mine. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. We are gathering in song, welcoming the oneness, opening the doors of spirit wide. We are walking into light, starting out together on a journey through the miracles inside. On a journey through the miracles inside.
Okay, in Science of Mind, we start everything with a treatment. And this treatment is a special treatment that is from Dr. Ms. Chu. And it's a treatment on prosperity that is from Bob Michel's class that I took with him on spiritual economics. Okay, let's take a deep breath in. And I express Spirit's eternal flow, knowing that there is one eternal source of all love and divine supply. I know that my life is that one life, and that all supply and abundance are now mine to the extent I allow them in my life. I am open to the unlimited possibilities of love, flowing as money and prosperity, of creativity, manifesting as successful and profitable projects and satisfying work. No longer do I allow doubt and feelings of unworthiness to be part of me, for I now know the truth that I am Spirit manifest. I know I am capable of co-creating and directing a life of love and a life flowing with joyfulness and surplus. I am abundantly self-sufficient in all my needs, and I live from the higher truth of being in the work I do. My interactions with all those whose lives I touch are loving and for the highest good. And I give thanks, for it is gratitude that connects and reminds us of our God nature. Knowing that my words have power and are already working in my life, I release this into universal presence, and so it is. And we have our identity prayer, if anybody wants to speak it. I know that within myself there is a life which is perfect, complete, and divine. It was never born and can never die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, and it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now, and so it is. And we have a meditation that just relax and enjoy.
This guided meditation is to help you to increase your wealth and prosperity. You should do this meditation when you are alone in a quiet room, not driving or doing anything else, but just focus on my voice. Please make yourself as comfortable as you possibly can, by either being seated or lying down. In the next few minutes, you are going to center your body and your mind. So begin by gently closing your eyes and by taking a deep breath in through your nostrils and out again through your nostrils. And every time you inhale and exhale, you are becoming more and more relaxed. And just allow your body and allow your mind to be in the present and to be able to relax. Let your body and your mind go and just flow with my voice and with the music. Just imagine that wealth and prosperity enters your body with every inhalation, and with every exhalation through your nostril. You distribute wealth and prosperity to every cell in your body, so that your body and your whole being starts to radiate wealth and prosperity. When you come from an abundant paradigm, then abundance can come to you like a magnet. When you want to receive something, you have to open your hands. You cannot receive something when you close your hands. You got to be open. You got to be open to the possibilities of being wealthy and prosperous. Start thinking that you already are wealthy and prosperous in this moment. Allow wealth and prosperity to come into your being. Start feeling wealthy. Start feeling prosperous. When your mind is attuned to wealth and abundance, that's what it will attract. So attune your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, your desire to be wealthy and abundant, and become the magnet to start attracting wealth and abundance in your life on many, many different levels, not just financial, but in all areas of your life. So many possibilities and so many opportunities present themselves every single day. And why is it that some people will see them, yet most people are blind to them? Because they do not think it is possible, that it can't happen to them, that somehow it just only happens to other people. Yet, when you are aware and awake and you focus and shine that light on possibilities and opportunities, on wealth and abundance, you will start to see. And it's not so much that the world changes around you, you change in that world, and therefore you will start to see possibilities and opportunities. Because you see the opportunities, wealth will come to you, because you come from a wealthy paradigm. You live in a world that is abundant, because that is what you believe. I am wealthy. you are thankful for little things in your life, rather than begrudging all the things you haven't got, in that moment you are wealthy, you are prosperous, you're living in abundance. In that moment is nothing more that you desire, yet something interesting happens. The more content you are, the more wealthy you feel, the more you will actually experience it. You start attracting it like a magnet. Remember the principle, the more, the less, the less. And what you want is creating a paradigm of more, of abundance, of prosperity. If you have poverty consciousness, when you are constantly unhappy with what you've got, then you get less and less and less. In order to be wealthy, abundant and prosperous, you need to see in the moment wealth, abundance, prosperity. You are becoming more and more abundant. You're becoming more and more aware. You start to see more and more. You're focusing more on being grateful. You're starting to focus more on being grateful. You're focusing more and more on the moments where you can be grateful. Feel that something deep inside has shifted. From now on, allowing in wealth and prosperity, and to be thankful and grateful for all the moments of wealth and prosperity in your life right now. And the more you're open to it, the more you will see it. And the more you'll see it, the more you will be open to it. Just start looking in your life right now where you are wealthy and where you are prosperous. And that in itself will invite more. You're believing it is possible for you. Every day and every way you're opening up your mind to possibilities, to becoming more and more wealthy, to become more and more happy, to become more and more prosperous, and to live in abundance, and to live an abundant life. Examine whatever it is that prevents you from being wealthy. Do something different every day. Do something that moves you closer and closer to being wealthy, happy, and live in the flow of abundance. And little by little, you tap in to the world that is so abundant, only if you are willing to see. In a moment, you are going to become fully conscious again. Conscious of your body, conscious of your mind, conscious of your surroundings. I am going to count from 3 to 0. And on the count of 0, you'll open your eyes. You feel refreshed, wide awake, looking forward to the remainder of the day. 3, you're becoming more and more conscious of your body. 2, to start moving your body as if you're just woken up from a very peaceful, deep sleep. 1, to start giving yourself a stretch. Open your eyes. 0, feeling wide awake and vibrant and looking forward to the rest of your day or the rest of your evening.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. And I'm so grateful, 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 gratitude within.
Okay, that was beautiful. I'd like to introduce my friend, Bob Michel, who was in my practitioner class in Asheville. And let's have Bob just say hello and tell us a little bit about himself.
Thanks, Kathy. Hello, everyone. Gosh, what a great honor to be here. I'll get into my background a little bit more detail, but you know, that clip of that song was at Mile High Church, which is in Denver, and I come from Colorado. In fact, when I was in college studying engineering, my Uncle Bill used to swing by my fraternity house and pick me up on the way to Mile High to go to services. And so I started out with this New Thought philosophy as really as a student in life, just trying to figure things out at that time. My grandparents actually came through this New Thought development, divine science, they called it, in Denver. And then that was sort of a branch of New Thought that was very closely related to Science of Mind. And they, even in the 1940s, belonged to a Science of Mind study group in Denver. Someone asked earlier if anybody had a family member that went through the pandemic. I can tell you that my grandpa was in World War I, and he sent a lot of letters back to my grandma. They were sort of dating before he went off to fight in that war. And so I have those records of his letters back and forth. And he was writing about the pandemic at that time. And, you know, they were teenagers. So the biggest concern they had was that the movie theaters were shut down. And what, you know, that was what they were worried about, and whether they had anything to do. So it sort of has a lot of echoes with today, doesn't it? So at any rate, my education, my spiritual education started with my grandparents, with them knowing that the divine is everywhere and that opportunities are ours to take. And so I learned that again going into the Mile High Church. I didn't really get into classes until a little later, moved to Battle Creek, Michigan. And there was a small Science of Mind community there led by the Reverend Jim Crawford, who has since made his transition. But I studied the classes and then got as far as Practitioner 1. I finished that, and I was too young to finish at that point. So I stopped, and I ended up moving and taking career opportunities, and ended up back in Colorado and closed out the practitioner chapter by starting over again, taking all the classes up through and including Prac 2, got my license, and then moved to Asheville. And guess what? Took Prac 2 again, and this time with Kathy. And we had a great, excuse me, I had a great class. Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse was our teacher, and we had also the class participants were teachers, and it you know, that just unfolded so beautifully and wonderfully. And anyway, back in Parker, I had the opportunity to present the spiritual economics class. And it's, I guess, an 8-week class that is part of the Science of Mind curriculum through the Centers for spiritual living. And when I got to Asheville, I did it again. Kathy, after our class, Kathy participated in our spiritual economics class, and it was, again, a wonderful experience. And I'll tap into that a little bit today. But during that time, the Reverend Marilyn Lewis out in Colorado asked me to help write the workbook, rewrite the workbook on spiritual economics. So, you know, through her offering some opportunity, I've put a little bit of my own learning and that from the classes that I've participated in into the curriculum so that we can build and grow and share on our common experience. So, so I'm familiar with the material, and it's material that I like to refresh myself on frequently because it's very powerful. And I've learned that no matter where I am in this material, there's always more to learn and grow and be. So with that, that sort of gives you an overview. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, so now interesting. It's fun. Okay, Bob, it's all yours. Do we got Bob?
He's muted.
Oh, Bob, unmute yourself.
Bob, unmute yourself and you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, that's good. Okay, you're on.
All right. So can we see the spiritual economics?
Your screen is not shared as far as I can tell.
Paul, can you give me the screen or?
You have to share your screen. I can't share it for you. I have set it so that you should be able to share it, but I can't share it for you.
Is that what he would press on his?
No.
There should be a bar.
Okay, I got it.
Yep. Okay. There we go.
Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we see the slide?
Yep.
All right. So again, welcome to a talk on spiritual economics, and I've subtitled this "In a Time of Crisis." So spiritual economics in this time. And I want to thank Kathy again for the honor of being with you today. And it's wonderful to be able to meet everyone here, and at least virtually. And it's a great honor to be able to share some of the things that we have learned about spiritual economics. Again, sort of a biographical sketch, as I mentioned. I was born in Boulder, Colorado, attended Mile High. I'm an engineer, studied metallurgical engineering, manufacturing. I had a career in manufacturing and project management that continues to today. And my practitioner training has been in the science of mind in Battle Creek, Michigan, Parker, Colorado, and Asheville, North Carolina. And I'm here today because of that Practitioner 2 class with Kathy, where we worked on the idea of practicing spiritual mind treatment. And I'll touch on that a little bit later about what that means and how each of us can do that. It's a powerful tool that anyone can use to improve their life in any way that they choose. I'm also here today because of my experience in the spiritual economics class, having facilitated that a couple of times and being involved with it, and in many ways demonstrating the power and presence of these teachings in my life. And also now is a good time to discuss spiritual economics. There's no better time than now. We know that now is a time of pandemic, recession, and social unrest. I told people when the year started that the year 2020 would be a year of clarity. Some say it feels like 1918, 1932, and 1968 all at once. But it's 2020. You know, we have the pandemic. We have the coronavirus, COVID-19, and that in itself has led to some massive job losses and an economic recession. And at the same time, you know, a nationwide movement for social justice after the police killing of George Floyd was recorded and broadcast worldwide. And as students of New Thoughts, we may well wonder, what now? What can I do? Well, you know, we learn in New Thought that we have the power to change our own lives. The only limits I face are those I place before myself. My own thinking limits my own success. And from the science of mind, we learn we are fundamentally perfect. Perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. So, how can we translate into this idea of spiritual economics? How can we amplify this concept of perfect God, perfect man, and perfect being into greater economic abundance worldwide? Well, spiritual economics is a place to start. The main points will be discussed today, and we'll hone in on the ideas of a prosperity consciousness, because really, as the meditation that led into this points out, our consciousness attracts like a magnet. It attracts other things to us. So if we have a prosperity consciousness, then prosperity will flow through our experience. And we'll elaborate on how hard it can be to overcome existing patterns of thought. But we can provide some techniques, some practices that you may do just that, to overcome any existing patterns of thought that may be limiting and expand consciousness into a greater prosperity consciousness. And this can lead to a new vision of who you are, and a vision for yourself and your loved ones and your society. And, you know, Butterworth, in his book, Spiritual Economics, he talks about a new spiritual economics, one of unity, not duality. It's an economics based on the idea that we're all one. No room for fear or doubt, no room for lack or limitation. Each person is given the gift to share, some gift. There is a divine gift within each person. And that gift is the key to unlocking that great prosperity that is everyone's birthright. And it's the key to unlocking this new spiritual economics, which is demanded for our, really a matter of survival. So from Ernest Holmes, we learn what we now experience, we may cease experiencing if we have the will and imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and hold it there. It is the office of the imagination to set the vision. Ernest Holmes wrote that in The Science of Mind textbook. And from Butterworth in Spiritual Economics, he wrote that consciousness is the key to all things which happen to us, certainly the key to personal prosperity. The starting point in changing your life from financial reverses to an experience of abundance is the realization that you can change your life by altering your thoughts. You begin by taking responsibility for your own life. Admit to yourself that your present experience, even the condition of your bank account, reflects your present level of awareness. You are not the victim of circumstances. Consciousness creates circumstances, or at least sets the climate in which they happen. When you establish yourself in this awareness, then you are in a position to change things. This is the summarizing statement from spiritual economics that really gets at the heart. Consciousness creates circumstances. So let's examine a little bit about where we're at with consciousness. I invite you to take a moment and just, again, center your thoughts. Allow yourself to relax, and let's go into a meditative state. And imagine you are at the beach. But this isn't just any beach. What you see in front of you is not the ocean, but a great expanse of abundance, representing all the substance in the universe. Take it in. It is all there. Everything you ever imagined is yours with this substance. It is the supply of infinite good. It is there in front of you. And it is yours. And so I invite you to imagine yourself at the beach of the everlasting, infinite supply of good. And it's yours to take. So go ahead and help yourself. Help yourself to it. Let's imagine harvesting the great substance for a moment. And just take your time and imagine that harvest. Yes, it's all there for you. Go ahead and take it. And bringing awareness back to where we are, we realize there's a lesson here. In the harvesting of this substance, its infinite supply, did I take a bucket? Or did I build a pipeline? Did you imagine going up to the infinite sea of substance with that pail? Or installing that great pipeline with abundant flow? Just invite you to take a moment to reflect on that. What is my consciousness around substance and supply? Do I feel I deserve to be wealthy? Do I feel worthy of taking all of that the universe has given to me? Because it's all been provided. I just invite you to reflect upon that lesson and allow yourself the possibility of opening your mind to more, to opening your mind to understanding that I deserve more. I deserve all that is good. You know, a lot of times we talk about asking and receiving. Well, the word ask comes from the word, the root meaning claim or demand. So when we ask the universe for something, we are staking a claim, making a demand. And that is a divine gift. Each one of us has already been given the universe. It is up to us to receive it. Now, we talked about spiritual economics and the course that the CSL offers. And here's a little bit of information from the course that Kathy participated on. Maybe we won't be able to see that well, so we'll zoom in a little bit. But understanding that the goals of spiritual economics are stated as class participants, as creating a greater understanding of spiritual economics. People want to understand more about it. They want to change their loop, meaning that reinforcing loop of what you say in your head gets created in the world and is more reinforcement of what you say in your head. The idea is to break that, any negative loops, and sort of build a new positive loop, building what Ernest Holmes calls a greater mental equivalent, which is the idea in your mind about what you experience in life. Creating a greater mental equivalent creates a greater outpicturing in life. Removing blocks, removing fear, and building trust. Those are some goals. Broadening the definition of prosperity. Prosperity doesn't just necessarily mean money. It means a life, a lifestyle, a way of living. And generating increase, going beyond the current thinking, the current financial situation, and creating something greater. Generating more good in all aspects of life. Another objective is abundance, knowing that I deserve to be well taken care of and accepting that. And then finally, really the most important thing is developing that prosperity consciousness. In some cases, redeveloping previously established consciousness of prosperity. It's easy to sometimes drift away and start thinking about lack and limitation. And the idea is to recenter in this idea of prosperity consciousness, remembering anew, living a lavish lifestyle, and not having to think about it, but just acting that way, and also paying it forward. That's another way to establish the prosperity consciousness. And so what I'd like to do right now is just provide a little bit of background and information about what's in the book, Spiritual Economics, and realizing that everything can change when we realize the following. Prosperity is a way of thinking and living. And a prosperity consciousness means keeping yourself centered in the inner focus of affluence such that you literally exude the consciousness of it. And since this is a Science of Mind group, I want to bring Ernest into it. I'm going to read from the textbook, the glossary, what he writes about prosperity. He says, this is from Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind. Prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Everything in the universe is for us. Nothing is against us. We must know that everywhere we go, we meet friendship, love, human interest, and helpfulness. Life is ever giving to itself, giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are spiritual attributes belonging to all people, but not necessarily used by all people. So, interesting point. Everyone has prosperity available to them, but not everyone uses it. Not yet, anyway. Affluence. Affluence is an abundant flow. That's really, when you get to the root of the word, affluence is an abundant flow. It's like a pipeline or a river. It's flowing, it's not stagnant. So affluence means a currency, a current flowing across and through experience. And if you can imagine a pipeline, a river, the Straits of Hormuz, the Straits of Magellan, think big, flowing water, flowing prosperity, flowing abundance. That's what affluence is. Also, substance is universal. We live in it like a fish in water. You know, the ancients used to talk about something they called ether. Ether was this invisible substance that sort of was, as I described, like a fish in water. It was sort of used in the idea of before the days of, even during the days of Galileo, but in Kepler's time, the great scientific innovator Kepler was someone who studied the planets and the stars, and he just figured that ether is what everything is hanging in. It's a substance that everything is just floating around in. And the concept is interesting because what we know now from physics is that there's this thing called dark matter. And dark matter is universal. It is everywhere, flowing through me and through you and through everything right now. And perhaps this dark matter is just this substance that's universal, waiting for us to create something out of it. Sort of like what a fish in water. Another thing we can realize is that my consciousness got me here. Wherever I am, my consciousness got me here. And it can get me out through treatment, meditation, visualization, curing what Butterworth calls the greatest ill of mankind, I can't-itis. Saying I can't do this or I can't do that. Well, that's just a disease that needs to be addressed and cured. Because in reality, we all have our limits. There are all, until we've ascended, there are things that we have placed in our own way through our own thinking of what it is that we can do or that we're here to do. Whatever limits there are there, we can address them. We can expand and create more for ourselves. It's all based in consciousness. And so believing and accepting that is a key to change. Another key point that Butterworth makes in this work is that money is God in action. And who puts limits on God? God is limitless. So if money is God in action, then money is limitless. Let's just think about that for a moment. You know, economists have things like money supply metrics, M1, M2, M3. These are all measures of how much money there is in the world or in a country. And I was looking that up the other day to think about it. And, you know, there's been all kinds of ways that people have expanded the money supply. So we have the coin and currency, we have gold, we have, you know, people's checking accounts and banking accounts. And, you know, there's the national debt and but then there's these things called derivatives, which back up all the debt that's out there and all the contracts that are made between companies or individuals that say, here's a thing of value. I'm going to trade this for your other thing of value. All these things can be considered money, and there's a lot of it out there. Every time somebody has a good idea and it implements it, more money is created. I mean, think about Apple computers. You know, Steve Jobs, there was a certain amount of money before he started that company, and it's grown a lot just because of that company. And just think about inventing the iPhone. I mean, all that money that goes into iPhones came from somewhere. It was created from the idea of the iPhone, really, if you boil down to it. And that was a thing of value that was created that we change money for. So it's a concept that bears some thinking and consideration. But the basis is that money really is limitless. Now, I'll tell a little story here. When I first started getting into New Thought, my dad, I was telling my dad about it. My dad came from a traditional, more of a, you know, Judeo-Christian, really a Jewish background. And he was a stockbroker, and he said, well, that's interesting. That's that New Thought. There are people that just believe you can create money out of thin air, right? And I didn't really have a good answer for him at that time. But you know, if I had the chance to talk to him again today, I might say something like, you know, money is really, it's a divine idea. And it's also something that we do create. And it's not really New Thought and this whole teaching and, you know, even the idea of spiritual economics, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Okay. There's no magic thought that you can just put into the universe and bingo, instantly you won the lottery. No, it's more of a process of growth and unfoldment, of becoming who we have come here to be. And by becoming who we came here to be, we are prospered. That which is within us is so valuable to the world. And getting out of our own way and letting that become our gift to the world is what is the value that we bring. And that value attracts money. And that would be my lesson to my dad. Although he had a different paradigm, and many people do. So this is why we're meeting today, is to learn new things, to discuss them, and to generate additional abundance and wealth. Now, another thing that we can realize that Butterworth talks about is that ideas, which are directed by the disciplined mind, bring the wealth of the universe into being. Again, the iPhone, an idea, somehow directed by a disciplined mind, bringing the wealth of the universe into being. How many ideas are out there? How much wealth is untapped? I'm sure it's mind-boggling. And we know that giving is an important spiritual practice. We talk about affluence. Giving opens space for receiving. And tithing is like putting on training wheels to learn spontaneous giving. These are things we learn in the book, Spiritual Economics. We talk about affluence and abundant flow. Well, you can't have an abundant flow if you're flowing into a closed system. The closed system restricts how much can come in. An open system that flows through generates a greater and greater affluence. And this is the teaching that tithing and giving is. It's really, as I said, it's like putting on training wheels, but in the end, for people who are extremely wealthy, like the Bill Gates, these people are spontaneous givers that are giving in order to change the world and make it better. And we can do the same thing. All it takes is a consciousness to grow, and changing our mind, moving away from the idea of decay toward the idea of growth. We can turn to grace instead of chaos. We can turn to love, not hatred. We can turn our mind to serendipity, not the idea of an accident, to discovery, not concealment. We turn to enlightenment, not ignorance. We turn to independence, not conventionality. Health, not destructive behavior. Affirmation, not denial. Visualizing, not the idea of worry. Peace of mind, away from stress. Faith, not fear. We can consciously turn to unity, not separation. To acceptance, not opposition. To trust, not doubt. To poise, not agitation. To confidence, not insecurity. These are all ways to direct that conscious thought process into an area of growth, growing that consciousness, growing that prosperity consciousness. Other ways, keep a gratitude journal. Many people in New Thought have started and done this. Butterworth says, gratefulness means full of greatness. It is a causative energy. And he wrote in the book, Spiritual Economics, that a grateful mind is a great mind, which eventually attracts to itself great things. And really, that's a quote from Plato. So people have been talking about this for thousands of years. Gratitude is so powerful. Reading uplifting materials. Emerson's essays, Self-Reliance, Compensation, The Science of Mind, Spiritual Economics. There are so many good works out there that are uplifting and reinforce the idea of a prosperity consciousness. Meditation, visualization, giving, give money, volunteer, give time, learn, take classes, meet together like we're doing today, write, journaling, essays. You have something of value to share, write it down. And the idea of a spiritual mind treatment. I'm going to spend a moment on this because I really, although spiritual economics is really, it's a New Thought book, it's not the science of mind per se, it's really a work out of unity. And I just want to hit on science of mind. The spiritual mind treatment is our way of affirmative prayer. And there are 5 steps. Dr. John Waterhouse wrote a book called 5 Steps to Freedom. And they are recognition, unification, realization, thanksgiving, and release. And what it means is that we just center ourselves and recognize our oneness with all, that we are unified with all, that even each one of us is a particularization of God, one within that whole, but also the whole of that power is here within me, within each and every person. And so the word that I speak in spiritual mind treatment is the word of spirit in me, and it contains the power and the presence of spirit as I know the truth in the recognition, in realization, speaking that truth. Knowing my truth is greater prosperity consciousness. Knowing my truth is that which I accept for myself. Once I accept it, I give thanks for it and spend a lot of time really feeling that power of thanksgiving and then release it. Not worrying about whether it happened or not, but releasing it. And I think in terms of the mind as well as the heart when it comes to spiritual mind treatment. Having an idea in mind is one thing. Feeling it in your heart is something different. It's something more. That's where the power comes from. It's from the connection of the mind, the brain, to the heart, the emotion. So the mind and the spirit together, knowing and feeling that which you want and accepting it for yourself is where the power of spiritual mind treatment comes. And my friends, spiritual mind treatment is a powerful tool. And I invite you to learn more by reading The Science of Mind, as well as there's a book called A New Design for Living that is by Ernest Holmes, and it is a recommended book. He says, as an example, on page 205, he says, just as there's no strain, no pressure, no forcing of things in the enjoyment of a beautiful sunset, there should only be a complete absorption in and the focusing of attention on the desired good during the giving of a treatment. So we're not forcing anything. We're just accepting what is already done. The universe has already given us everything. We're just accepting it. That's a key point. And I invite you to work on that. Let it settle into you, and you will become a powerful practitioner of the science of mind. Back to Butterworth. He says in his book that a crisis is an opportunity riding a dangerous wind. He uses that idea from the Chinese symbol, which literally translated is translated as an opportunity riding a dangerous wind. And he talks in his book about every problem being a project. So what are the projects that we have before us? What is the crisis? What is that opportunity? We have a few. And we know that Butterworth has called for a new world vision, a new spiritual economics. He talks about achieving prosperity as an individual, that each of us, as we achieve prosperity, we influence the world. We make the world more prosperous. We become a beacon for hope in a changing environment. That's what we can do. So we need to start by setting a vision. And the vision that we can set has to do with syntropy. Maybe you've heard of entropy. Entropy is the idea that everything in the natural world decays. We have a fence post that rots, a gate that gets rusty. We have streets that get potholes. Those are examples of entropy. Well, there's a word called syntropy. Syntropy is the opposite of entropy. So while entropy is decay or a movement to less organization, syntropy is an innate drive in living matter to perfect itself. So we may tap into syntropy as a state of mind for ourselves and for those in our community. We can have a vision for health, and we own that. We can have a vision for personal prosperity despite what people say about the economy. We can have within our own hearts and our own minds a concept of economic freedom for ourselves and for society. And these things are building upon the idea of syntropy. So I invite people to consider an idea of a new world vision of unity. It's where consciousness is a key, and the consciousness of unity is really the power of prosperity. What if we had a universal prosperity consciousness where everyone has it, everyone knows it, and everyone shows it? What if we had a collective consciousness that affirms the ever-present God substance? There wouldn't be no need for fear, fear of the other, fear of people in a different tribe, from a different country, from a different neighborhood, because we know that there is a collective consciousness that we can tap into and affirm the ever-presence of God's substance. What if we knew that economic and spiritual expansion is a state of mind, and we had that state of mind, and we had that in our collective conscious? What if everyone knew that healthy is wealthy? What if everyone knew that work has evolved through technology, through education, that through the power of artificial intelligence and technology, my work becomes a divine expression because I'm freed up to do great things? What if we become one nation or even one world, which is indivisible, with prosperity and abundance for all, where opportunity is universal? Things like these idea of baby bonds, a new Homestead Act, early childhood education available for everyone, education in spiritual economics, an idea whose time has come. So I offer you to tap into further resources: the book Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth, the class that Kathy was in is online. There's the link. It's on the CSL Asheville website. It's free to anyone. And the Science of Mind textbook by Ernest Holmes. And I offer the opportunity to connect with me. Kathy knows I have some businesses here in Asheville. I do a vacation rental in the times not of a pandemic. It's called Evermore Asheville, and you can find it on Airbnb. And also Evermore Creative Studios is a company that my partner and I are developing and growing into a creative enterprise. You can email me at robert@rsmichel.com as well. And so I close with knowing that spiritual economics is in a time of opportunity, is an idea whose time has come. So I want to say thank you, Kathy, for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with this group today. And I'd just like to end this part with a blessing, which means a conferring of prosperity upon everyone here, knowing that this day is the day of new beginnings, of new ideas, of new possibilities, of blessings, of sharing of ideas, and sharing of the truth that is born within me, that I freely and joyously give to the world, and stand ready to accept that greatness, that prosperity and abundance that naturally must come back. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. That was great. I know we usually have a discussion, and I was looking over my notes from your class, and I was wondering if you could touch on the point that stood out for me is that the universe owes you a living. The world owes you nothing.
Sure. Kathy brings up a good point. So the idea in Science of Mind, as I mentioned earlier, this talk with my dad, and he said, what do you do? Just sort of think up money. That was coming from the place of the idea, well, the world really doesn't owe you anything, you know. Look, I'm born here. My dad was raised on the idea that, you know, you have to work hard for a living, the whole work ethic, and, you know, and all these things have built a great society. But there's more to it. And the idea is that the universe owes you everything. Why is that? What's the difference? Well, the world is made up of people and society. And we're not suggesting that anyone really goes around and stands there with their hand out and looks for somebody to give you something because you didn't do anything. What we're saying is that by being who you are, the being true to your true self, that you are of tremendous value to the universe, that you are God in action. When you were born, spirit is in you. Spirit is infinite, and you have that infinite spirit within you. And that infinite spirit is the power and presence of all good. And so there is no limit on what you can take. The only limit you place is upon yourself. So thinking in terms of that unlimited potential that is the universe, that's born within you as you, then you understand that it's all yours. And so the idea that the universe owes you everything comes from that place of unity, of thinking of, I am God in action. I am God personified as me, but beyond that, all that God is within me as me, for there's no one point in the universe that God is not. And if it's in all points, it must be present at every point. So it's here within me. And all that power and presence and substance is also mine.
Thank you. Thank you. Another thought that I was looking over, it's about the way you think about your work as a calling, you know, which goes on what you was talking about. And the other thing is unemployment, the word unemployment, to change it to be ready for work. So it's just, you know, changing the negative to a positive. But think of your work as a calling, your calling.
Exactly. And, you know, my point on that, Kathy, is that really echoing what Butterworth has said is that each individual has a calling. It's that thing in your heart that you know you must do. And I know for myself, it's taken me a long time to accept that that's the case, that, you know, I wanted to make money, so I studied engineering. You know, there are things within it that I love, that I find a calling in, but I'm not so sure that was my calling. So I'm open now to a greater calling. What is that calling? Each of us has that within us. And that's what he's talking about, is work shouldn't be a drudgery. And even if it is sort of a drudgery, you can find some meaning. An example he uses in there is this CEO of the railroad who came back on an inspection one day. He was visiting some new lines that were going in, some rail lines, and one of the guys that was there happened to be a guy that he started out working with 20 or 30 years ago. And the guy came up to him and says, "Hey, you remember me? You know, I'm Joe. We laid some rail together." And he said, "Well, you know, gee, sir, you've come a long way." And the CEO looked back at Joe and he says, "You know, during those days, I wasn't just laying rail, I was building a railroad." And so the idea is finding meaning in even the most monotonous, potentially negatively thought of work. There's God there always. And there is beauty to be found. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of awareness. So there's a divine calling in each of us. And there's also a divine calling in anything that we do if we really look for it.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you talk about the different perspective on your work. I became an engineer because I wanted to be an engineer. It not maybe not so much because I wanted to be an engineer, but because I saw the engineer in myself. And, you know, nowadays I'm doing some work that's, you know, I'm rehabbing a house that's in terrible condition. It's on the wrong side of the railroad tracks. And it's laborious work.
But it's very satisfying.
But it's also very satisfying because we're taking a house that was in really sad shape and making it happy again. Yeah. And we're also being, I believe, a very positive influence in the neighborhood that we live in. We're giving our neighbors a concept of that things could be better than they are for, you know, for them at the moment. So, you know, I've rapidly developed a reputation for being someone who gets things done in the neighborhood. And, but by the same token, the people see that they have power too. They could get things done too if they just did the relatively simple things that I'm doing, because I'm not doing anything that's, you know, really rocket science here. It's really? A little bit of common sense goes a long way.
I don't know.
It really isn't. I mean, you know, we paint, we put mud on the walls, we break up concrete with a sledgehammer. You know, what's so rocket science about hitting a piece of concrete with a sledgehammer? Yeah. It takes a lot of effort and muscle to do it, but it's not that difficult.
And just to point out that you have a vision in mind about where this is going, and
right,
and you have a mental equivalent in your mind about the outcome.
Right. And just being in the neighborhood and having that vision and having other people watch us as we're creating that vision, it gives them the idea that they could have a similar vision, right, and similar creation. They just have to have that focus on what it is that they want. And at least for the neighbor across the street, that's really, you know, we've developed a little more of a relationship with our neighbor across the street, and she is starting to, you know, set her sights higher than what she had before.
Nice.
She has a concept of there can be more to this than what she's thought of before.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep doing design work for her on her house.
Yeah.
Helping her with her vision.
Kathy, in the treatment, you had what I call a creative malapropism. You said the one eternal sauce. I thought that was pretty creative.
That's right.
Yes, that's what we need, is the one eternal sauce.
At Wegmans for $5.99.
But you know, it can be, as far as a job, it can be just your attitude. And it brings me back to the guy that's the cashier in the grocery store. He's a young black guy who just is delightful. I mean, the first time I ever saw him, I was kind of having a bad hair day, and I wasn't a happy camper in the store, and I was getting ready to go through his line, and he was blessing every person that came through. He would go, "God bless you." And I mean, he was just, by the time I checked out, my attitude had flipped 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was looking, I was going, what's going on here? This isn't a great job. Why is this guy so happy? You know,
because he chooses to be happy.
It was his attitude rubbed off on me. You know, I felt bad. What I was actually feeling was, why should I feel so, you know, why should I feel the way I was feeling?
Yeah.
And he's always like that. I mean, I go through his line, you know, I would go through his line before I will go through others, even though there's more people in his line.
That's why there's more people in his line.
Yeah.
It's a gift. It's a gift that he's given. There was a bus driver in Dallas, and I was taking the bus And every person that came on that bus, he knew and greeted. He knew something personal about it. He'd ask him questions. If somebody had problems walking, he'd pull up a little further around the corner. And you just think about what he was giving to everybody, and then they take that into their workplace, and that attitude affects everybody in the workplace, and then that added everybody in the workplace. I mean, it's just throwing it
ripples
in a pond, and that's why I always try and like project something like that when I'm going out, or when I'm, you know, being thankful to a waiter or to somebody that's checking me out because of that.
It almost seems like this fellow was perfect for this job because he got to see a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a line.
Parking garage like that too.
There's a line in the book, and it says, "You don't need something to be grateful for. You need only the desire to feel grateful. When you feel grateful, you become great, and eventually attract great things."
I used to work with the youth group, and oftentimes, you know, one of these teenagers would say, "I'm bored." And I would always tell them, yes, that's a choice. Boredom is always a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to be bored if you want to be. And the same is true with gratitude. You can choose to be grateful. You don't have to have something. You don't have to have something to be grateful for.
Right.
You can choose simply to be grateful.
Grateful is something of itself.
Your attitude is something that you choose always in every moment.
Yeah.
And you can choose to have a bad hair day, or you can choose to find something to be inspired by, like a cashier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about raising your consciousness.
Yeah. Well, raising your consciousness is, I suppose, is another way of saying choosing what it is that you wish to focus on.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that you say, Paul, too. You're either on the side of the problem or the side of the solution, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Anne's talked about this great realization of, or the great decision. It's not a realization, it's a decision of, is the universe for me or against me? And whichever of those two you decide,
right,
that is what the universe becomes for you.
Yeah.
That's what Einstein said.
Yeah.
It's like the Secret said, the universe says, your wish is my command. You want me to be against you? By golly, I'll be against you.
What's interesting to me, though, is that I always thought that I was on the universe is for me type of mentality until I took the last economic class I took at Unity. I had the realization that I did not really believe that.
Yeah.
And it was just like a, whoa. And so I've shifted my belief so that I really do believe that now. And things started shifting for me when I started doing that.
Yeah.
Shifted that belief.
That's what when you things to seem painful, it's because you're resisting, and it's the universe wanting to teach you there are more options. Sometimes because of what you were taught by your parents. Because we are also a product of our environment. Our parents might imbue us with certain restricted view, but things will come into people's lives that will help them, push them into a place where they have to decide. And then once you start realizing that you can't choose your attitude is a huge, huge moment, because a lot of people just believe that this is what's in front of them is all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're referring to, Kent, is your paradigm. Your paradigm is that that whole of all of the things that you learned as you were growing up, and you didn't have the capacity to say no in that time. And so basically you take all that stuff in and you integrate it into your personality. But at some point, either you realize or someone helps you to realize that, no, all that stuff, some of it may be valid and some of it may not. And you get to choose which you continue to allow to control your attitudes and behaviors and so forth.
Yeah, I said the first 7 years of your life, you're literally like a sponge,
Yeah.
and everything sort of gets given to you. It's like sort of beyond your choice. And then as you get older, teenage years, you start questioning these things and start implementing the things that aren't healthy for you. You'll encounter opposition, and some people will think that opposition is just the way it is, and some people will think that opposition is a means to a motivation to find a new way.
Yeah. Bob Mitchell, you had used the phrase, who puts limits on God? And what immediately came to mind is mankind.
Fundamentalists.
No, us.
Just us
Yeah, well,
us.
that's part of humankind, but that's just an institution specifically.
It's not just fundamentalists. It's all of us.
Yeah, it's all of us.
Put limits on mankind.
Yeah.
That gets back to your paradigm, though. I mean, you're basically taught to put limits on God, and you don't realize that you're doing it. But I always refer to the making God in man's image.
Some people are, and some people aren't. Some people are moving it forward, and some people are trying to hold it back.
Yeah. Well, you look at really wealthy people. Generally speaking, they've learned to become open to better things, and the rest of us haven't really learned that yet. So.
It comes back to taking a couple of seconds to listen to your thoughts and listen to the words coming out of your mouth. Do I really want to say that? Do I really want to think that? Do I really believe that? And if you have those couple of seconds, you can change it. Change your thinking, change your life.
That's why we say be careful what you think, feel, say, or do. Because all of those things are a prayer and they're all creative.
Yeah.
Everything you think, feel, say, or do.
I think it's a Buddhist thing that your belief is the root of actions. Your belief will cause you to choose certain actions. So focusing on your belief will give you a greater understanding, and your actions will be the results of your actions. So if you do something and things don't come out right, then you may look at what belief led you to respond in that manner.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Bob. That was awesome. All the information.
Thank you.
It was wonderful, which I knew it would be. Yes. And blessings on all your new granddaughters.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited for you. Your lives will never be the same.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's just wonderful. Wonderful. And,
Bob, if you ever come to Charlottesville, I have an Airbnb. We can switch sometimes.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, Bob converted his house, half his house into it, and he did it himself. It's really, he has what, 3 bedrooms?
Well, two in the rental area, and then we're also been working on. You guys are talking about fixing up an old house. We bought a cabin out in the country, and it was sort of abandoned for a while, and we picked that up and are finishing it. So one day we might start renting that. We'll see.
Yeah, well, if anybody wants to go to Asheville, he's right in downtown.
Yeah.
Perfect location. And Carolyn has a beautiful one too. She has a huge one in her house too. How many bedrooms is that, Carolyn?
Well, I have 1 bedroom, but I can put, open it up and put 3 bedrooms in it if I wanted to, and 2 baths.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I like the 1 bedroom the best. It's upstairs. It's separate from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's nice.
I have a little announcement that I would like to make. The Energy of Forgiveness online workshop that I've been working on since January is live as of Wednesday. So you can go to superpossibilities.com and look for courses, and it'll be in there. It's called the Energy of Forgiveness e-workshop.
Nice. Congratulations. I know
It's-
you've been working on that a while.
Yeah, if you like numbers, it's 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 33 seconds of video, plus 8 exercises.
Very nice. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. And I don't have too much news except Reverend Robin will be joining us soon. So we'll look forward to hearing her. And that's about all I got. Anybody else have anything else they want to? Jane, you're kind of quiet today.
Yeah, I'm just taking everything in. I really love this presentation, Bob. Thanks so very much. I am blessed to have an autographed copy of Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And I love the way that you incorporated Ernest Holmes and Eric Butterworth, and it was a beautiful presentation.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, and here's what
Kathy.
I feel like doing. I'm gonna after you talked about the main principle, about the universe owing us everything, Bob, I felt like singing something, so I'm gonna just sing it right now. And it's, I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now.
Thank you.
I had something to say.
Hey, Kathy.
Yes.
I just would like us to, I enjoyed all the conversation and all the comments, but we also have to remember that as we raise our consciousness, we give others permission to do the same, because we're in a time right now where people are still sleeping and they don't know what we know. So it's an invitation for us to raise ourselves, but also in the process raise others. Because there are just people out there that are still sleeping. They don't know what we know. And so for those of us that do know, we have to hold the vision for a world that's prosperous, a world that works for everyone, and that people understand that they have choice and they have power in the moment. And that, when someone said in conversation, if I'm misquoting you, I apologize, but that, as you grow up, you learn, you get to look at your beliefs, but a lot of people don't look at their beliefs and they don't look to see whether they work. The story about the lady with the ham, that she kept cutting the butt off the ham to fit the pan, because that's what her grandmother did. But the reason grandmother did it was because the pan she had was too small for the ham. And so, it's for us to be mindful that, at least from my perspective, is that people become awake. They become aware that they have choice and that they have power. But when, you look at the world from the effect instead of cause, you can get confused and think that the effect is the truth. And so it's an opportunity for us to hold the vision that people will start to see that effect is temporary and that effect is effect, it's not cause. And that when they understand that they have the power and that they have this greatness within them and that they are a contribution, the world will shift. Because everyone has to realize that. But for us, we are kind of the torch bearers and the light bearers. And we get to hold that vision. Because one of the things that Bob talked about is about the vision, the visualization. And it's not only about us, it's about everyone, because we're one. And what we put into the one becomes the one. And so that's my prayer. And, on this, in this world that we live in right now. And I know that you know, for myself, I've been, you know, as I listened to Bob, I just thought about all the ways that life has been so good to me and how grateful I am and why I stay in a place of gratefulness because of all the opportunities that I've had for over these last 6-7 years. And, you know, it's the willingness to be grateful in spite of, you know, and Bob, I really appreciate your presentation on spiritual economics. I told Kathy it's one of my favorite books. My background is in Unity, a big Butterworth fan, but that's one of my favorite books, probably second to In the Flow. And then I want to ask you a question, Bob. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of jumped in here. You said there was a book titled 5 Steps to Freedom.
Yeah.
Who wrote that book?
That's John Waterhouse.
Yeah, it's a great little book.
Yeah,
It's a great little book that just gives you a nice summary, very summarized version of what the spiritual mind treatment is. It's almost as if he went into the Science of Mind textbook and gleaned out the key points about, you know, how to do a spiritual mind treatment and put it in a fairly small book, almost a booklet that is available. I know it's online, but yeah, John Waterhouse, 5 Steps to Freedom.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing a series on using the prayer treatment book by Holmes, but I've never heard of that one, so I'm going to have to look that one up too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you to our new members that joined, Bob and Nana. Welcome, and we're here every Sunday. And if you want to give us your email, we can put you on the email list. You could go to our webpage and sign right in. It's somcville.org. And then you'll get all our notifications. Okay, so we're going to end with a song, and we'll do that song now.
Yeah, I'm going to mute everybody again.
Yeah.
And your name out, yeah.
There is more than enough in a universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let my soul know the truth, whatever I choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough. There is more than enough in a universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Why would I worry? and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know the truth, whatever we choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough, more than enough, more than
Okay, so we go out into the world. We go out into the world in this oneness with our faith, knowing that all is well, and knowing that we live in a world where we have peace and respect for each other, and that we are healthy and our immune systems are healthy. And we touch the lives of everybody we meet. And we spread this word, we spread this love. And we know all is well and all is God. So thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you, Bob. We really enjoyed you. Come join us anytime you want. Okay.
Thanks to the new people. We appreciate your presence.
Yes, yes, that's right. Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Enjoy your week.
Bye.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Jane, for the music. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Paul
you.
and Ann.
Thank you, Paul and Ann, for hosting.
I want to talk to you.
You're
I
welcome.
want to talk to you guys.
Okay, so stay on if you
Okay.
want to go.
Thanks for joining, Dinah.
Yeah. Take care.
Glad you could join us.
And Robin, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Good to see you, Robin. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Oh, that's a pretty picture.
Let's see. I can stop